So welcome to another Wargame review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
Today we're taking more of our kind of initial impressions from a first look at Undaunted Stalingrad. Now,
I'm very glad you said it was a war game. That warms the cockles of my heart.
I am inclined to agree that this is a war game. Yeah, it's a war game.
We had a friend come over the other night and he argued that it was not.
Yes. And
he is now laying in the backyard.
And he also
with the fishes.
Said that I posited that it was not a war game.
I think I planted that lie. I was trying to sow some discord.
I'm pretty sure I didn't, but if one of us would have said it, it would have been me.
I would never say that.
I don't think I would have said that about this.
I don't believe you would have either.
Like, this is a deck builder, but the tactical board is a war game.
Well, it feels like a war game. It's just, mechanically, it's different than other war games that we play.
Yeah.
Other hex and counter war games that we play.
But like,
this feels very similar to most tactical games that we play. It's just using deck building, but I'm still trying to move into cover. I'm still trying to move across the board, secure objectives,
shoot each other,
shoot your guy,
damage, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway,
so I digressed there, and the cockles of my heart they're very warm still. Yeah. Just wanted to reiterate that.
So this is like technically like the fourth in the series of Undaunted.
Normandy, North Africa, reinforcements.
Yeah, which is
now Stalingrad. Reinforcements was just additional content for both Normandy and North Africa.
Plus the solo mod.
Plus the solo mod, which I still haven't played.
But yeah, like
I'm embarrassed to say.
So this one though, much bigger, right?
Well, physically bigger.
Yeah, twice.
And
physically twice the size.
Depth bigger.
Monetarily 3 times the price.
Yes, but worth every dollar.
Huge. So this is Stalingrad, right? This is East Front, but this is urban combat. The map is made up. There's like 70 odd tiles in the game.
I think there's 100.
But yes, so the map is made up of 70. Then there's the 30, which are
the degrading of those tiles. Which we had that for the first time in our scenario this evening, which was kind of cool.
But yeah, you basically, unlike the other ones where it's kind of like a generic map almost, this one, it's like a fixed map of Stalingrad and you play on a section of it. And like, you know, you'll play on different parts and you'll revisit parts again. So it's much more of like a historical mod than some of the other ones are in that sense. And like you kind of alluded to, this is also a reversible legacy style game. So the tiles that are available, you can destroy those. You take them out and you replace them with a destroyed version of it. The same happens to your units. If we're a rifle squad, it's possible for them to take like permanent casualties, and you take them out and you replace them with a much worse version of them.
And my squads, A and B, are pretty much decimated.
Just awful.
And we're only 3 scenarios in.
4, right? We did 4?
We've played it 4 times, but remember the first scenario, we just kind of did a warm-up. We've only played 3 to conclusion.
In this campaign?
Yes, in this campaign. Okay. But we played it 4 because we both had forgotten, and we're like, let's just play it.
But yeah, on top of that, a couple of your guys might get better.
Yes.
Then they might die afterwards, but they might get better. And then there's like a deck of cards that you'll unlock, which will give you all sorts of new units that some of them you've never seen before, or some of them it's like they're new to this. And there's all sorts of goodies, and you can kind of see in the counter mix what some of those are.
The legacy elements of this game are very interesting. I really enjoy it. Like you said, it's not a destructible legacy style game, though. We've played some games where you tear this up or throw this away.
On. Yeah, none of that.
Which is cool because when you're done with that,
just reset.
You can just reset it and you can play it again.
The other aspect is with your scenario book here. Is there's 2 scenario books and
1 Soviet, 1 German.
Yeah, and it's got a bunch of narrative text in it, and there's just hundreds of entries, and so you're going to read, and that's like.
And that's pretty cool. Yeah, we had a good time with that.
I read section 1, and it's from a German perspective. Well, you read your section 1, it's from your perspective. And they're different, and what are the different aims that you've got. But then, depending on who wins the scenario, it changes the game state, and that changes which sections. There's a little bit of choose your own adventure, kind of based on who wins. And so if you lose this scenario, you'll go on this branching path instead of this one. Some of which is narrative, some of which isn't. But so your games will be different if you do reset it and play it again, which is nice. The campaign will feel a little bit different. It gives you different things happening.
Yeah. So because of that, you mentioned earlier, it's more costly, right? This was.
Oh yeah.
I think off their site it was like $120.
$120, yeah.
But you could get it secondarily from like Miniature Market for like 85 or so.
Or our good friends at Noble Knight Games.
Right. Very true. But because you can, it's legacy and you can kind of replay it, and you're going to play, I think it's 15 scenarios, if I'm not mistaken.
In the campaign, yeah.
In the campaign. And it's branching. Maybe it's
right here. 15, yep.
15. And they're branching, so theoretically, you could never play the same campaign twice.
And there's more than 15 scenarios.
Agreed, but some of them won't come up.
Yes.
If certain people win, certain sides win certain scenarios.
Because I think like Undaunted normally had like 10 or 12 scenarios.
Yeah, maybe
right?
10, yeah.
But it was just like, you play all 10. Whereas this has like, I don't know, 20 scenarios in it.
Probably.
But you'll only ever play 15 in a campaign, and like you said, it's branching. So again, you get some difference out of that too.
Frankly, your deck's going to be decimated after 15. I can't even imagine what my deck is going to look like at the end.
That's the great part about this game. Honestly, we played a number of legacy style games or campaign games, and the progression and the frankly degradation of your combat forces is peak Stalingrad.
It feels very attritional.
There are parts of this that's just a meat grinder. And the more guys you the more casualties you take in a scenario determines how many permanent casualties get worse. Yeah. And so there's this whole extra mechanic, because everything's linked, is that you can optionally just withdraw. You can say, I'm not into this Pyrrhic victory garbage, and take a step back.
Yeah, you might win the game, or that scenario, but
what cost?
If you keep going, you're going to churn through more of your guys without much return. This one was kind of like that. I felt like this is scenario number 3. Soviets were set up in 9 January Square, and you as the Germans had to come over and take some areas from me.
Yes, and it's both
very hard.
It's both very difficult, and also, but it's difficult because you're up against the clock.
Yes.
And so,
because I was gaining campaign points or whatever they were.
Mission
points every round, and I had to get to 12. Now, you did get in there and stop me from gaining them on the right.
Slow it down on one side. But it's one of those things where, in this game, more than the others, because you don't have that, it's assessing, okay, I'm not going to make my
objective,
goals, so I'm going to withdraw, which is, to me, a very realistic type of decision that you're not forced with in basically every other war game. Every other war game, it's
fight to the end.
Fight to the death, do the stupid Hail Mary thing, and it's like, that would happen so rarely in real life.
Sure.
Right? Like, every game that we play has a Medal of Honor moment. But in real life, how few of those there are, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's very much like, okay, I'm on a timer here. After the first 3 or 4 turns, I haven't made enough progress. Do I just pack it in? I'm going to lose the scenario, but I'm not going to lose any guys. I'm not going to be like permanently, absolutely crushed by having 15 dead guys, and then 3 of them get permanently degraded, and then you go to the next scenario even worse off. You've both lost and everyone's dead. That's what you want to avoid. And so the extra bits and pieces that are added to this from the campaign/legacy style, I love it. It's all of it is a welcome addition. Yeah.
Well, and even in addition to that, the concept of your units becoming better or worse, there are new units. So for instance, we uncovered snipers the last scenario, you did at least.
Yes.
And then this scenario, I uncovered mine, and it's like, ooh, I can now put snipers in my squads. And that was really cool because they have a very different ability, very different focus. When they die, unfortunately, though, they die.
Yeah, there are some units that are perma-dead.
They go out of your deck. So I had 3 snipers. One of them got killed. And now I'm down to 2. So the next scenario, I'm assuming there's a scenario somewhere down the line where it's like, I'm just going to have a couple of snipers, and I'm going to have to stop you with snipers. And I'm going to have 2
instead of 3.
Versus 3. And you lost a sniper.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. And it was like, oh, great.
That is so interesting. There's vehicles we still haven't unlocked.
Oh yeah, there's not a few. Like there's a bunch.
There's a ton of them, and in this scenario, you got dive bombers.
Yeah, I had Stukas. That was great.
Very interesting. They had an entirely new mechanic, bombing. You were destroying my buildings and attacking me, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. Even though I was getting kicked in the teeth, I was sitting there going, ooh, this is kind of fun. It's kind of interesting.
It's something
unique.
new and novel
Yeah.
within the game that we've played a lot of.
Yeah.
And, added to that, your guys who get upgraded or who get kind of killed and get turned into reserves, it's the same guy, but they'll have one of their actions missing off their card, or their initiative sucks.
Yeah. My scout went from a 6 down to a 2 initiative.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
Yeah. And so it's
Because you use scouts sometimes to really take the initiative.
Yes.
And now he's going to be, and that's okay. That's part of the game.
And I think I've got a scout that can't recon, and you're like, what's
And
the
that's a
point
big
of you
part
being
of-
a
yep.
scout? Or when
I've got one that can't conceal. And that's cool.
And when they get better, when they get promoted, they get additional actions.
Explore or guide
Or like area suppress on
Yeah.
the machine gunners. There's
Cool.
There's lots of cool new bits and pieces where you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
And it's like still within the same framework that you're very familiar with, but the little extras really make it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, my little machine gun A squad with this upgraded guy, really strong now.
The thing I do love about now, I'm talking about system, not necessarily this legacy. The deck building is really interesting. You're trying to build an efficient deck that you can mill through, activating your units again and again.
Yes, as much
to
as
do as
possible.
many actions as you possibly can to obtain your objectives. So a lot of times I try to think, okay, I obviously have to do this. I'm going to really focus on this squad. So I'm just going to put in A's, or I'm going to put my rifleman in because I got to get my rifleman out there, but I also need a new scout, so I'm going to throw him in. That is such an interesting opportunity for you to really think about, how am I going to really maximize what I've got?
Yeah.
Love that. Then on top of that, the tension associated with the initiative bid,
Yeah.
which you have to use one of your cards in your hand. You have a hand of 4.
Yes.
You use one as well.
It's very tight.
And sometimes, I want to go first, because if you attack me here, I'm going to lose guys. So I'm going to throw a squad leader
Like you're
out that
really
has
good
a
stuff.
7 initiative, but what I'm sacrificing there is the ability to add to my squads or to inspire and reactivate someone already activated. That tension and difficulty and angst, indecision, to me, is what really sets this game apart from a lot of, because we bid for initiative in other games.
Yeah.
The initiative bidding here matters
Yeah. Well, and
because you're giving resources up.
I think from a war game standpoint, that's true. But I also find the deck building aspect of this better than a lot of deck builders.
Sure, yeah.
Because
Good job,
a hand,
David.
a hand of 4 cards
And Trevor.
is so tight,
Yeah.
but it's not. Whereas something like, think about like Empire of the Sun or Labyrinth, those hands are really tight and tough, but there's a lot to analyze and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
This is 4 cards and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
but it's still quick.
Yep.
And
Well, it's very playable, meaning
Yeah.
you're going to get through these scenarios in 40 minutes,
Yes.
right? This is not an 8-hour game of Empire of the Sun.
No.
We love that game for the reasons you just said. This is a quick playing, in your face,
Yeah.
tense game that I just think creates such interesting choices and interesting dynamics.
I like the tactical. There's a word that evades me.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you do out here on the board in relation to the cards that you play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about other deck builders, like something like Ascension, where you're like, these are just numbers.
Yeah,
it's just numbers.
really has nothing to do
Right.
with, yep.
Like I'm just
I see
getting
what you're
numbers to
saying.
get more cards to do more things.
Yeah.
Whereas this, like, I feel like I'm building my deck, which is like dudes, and then I'm playing my cards, but like doing your actions feels a bit more rewarding than.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to a 7 so I can bop the guy at the end of the dungeon, right?
Or
Like,
buy
it's-
this guy that cost me 8. So,
Yeah, or buy victory points. Like,
Yeah.
Like that's fine. There's a space for that.
Yeah.
But this as a deck builder has a much more enjoyable resolution. For me, that's why I like it.
I would agree. So my opinion of the Undaunted series is that tension, those decisions, and the deck building are fantastic.
Yeah.
The tactical acumen you've got to have. You know, you can't just run out in the middle of the open, right? There's a killing
But then
field.
you kind of also have to.
Sometimes you have to, right?
Like,
But you've got to be smart about it. I think back to games like Combat Commander. I don't want to run my guys out in the middle of the open unless I've got smoke. I want to go cover to cover. So I got to throw some smoke down occasionally. That's the same feeling here. Unfortunately, you don't have smoke, or we don't know about smoke.
It's much more simplified, but it's the case of trying to move from cover to cover, having those scouts lead the way because you've got to explore those areas.
Or, once again, having maximized your deck so that you can move someone and then activate him immediately again because you had another card in your hand of that same type. Or then you inspire him with your commander, and your 3 cards you played that turn, man, you got the last scenario we played where I felt like I was in this type of no-win situation. I drew a great hand. Squad leader A, 2 A riflemen. I was able to move, control by inspiring. And I built my deck such that I got rid of all my fog of war. Some of my other guys got killed. So my deck had been thinned down, but it made it a more efficient machine.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot about efficiency and that kind of maximization in most games. That's why I probably like Euro games more than you.
Yeah.
I still prefer war games, but I enjoy doing that here because I'm thinking about, okay, I'm trying to build my best guys and make them better. And here's how I'm going to do that. But the variety of things this throws at you is just really cool. Every scenario we've played is different, has been different so far.
Yeah.
And I love that.
At least different enough where I haven't noticed it yet. So this was just kind of some first initial impressions. Again, we're kind of like 3 missions into this campaign.
We're going to play it some more.
We'll also make another video at the end of this campaign just to kind of like say, was that satisfying? What was that like? So you'll see more of this from us in the future. But it's also, it's a 40-minute game, so we could just kind of pull this out at the end of a session every so often and just give it a go.
And it's one of those things that it's going to sit on the shelf over here, and if we got an hour, like you said, we'll just whip it out and we'll play a game. And we'll eventually get through the 15 scenarios. It may take us 6 months or longer, but that's okay.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, you could also sit down and play this day after day after day and finish it up.
Yep.
I almost think that would be more rewarding because you'd get more involved into the story.
Probably, yeah. You'd remember that a bit more.
I will say this. They did hire, and I can't remember the gentleman's name.
This is not in there somewhere?
Maybe it is. They hired a gentleman to do the narrative side of the scenario books.
The writing was by Robbie McNiven.
There you go. I think he's got a good, easy style.
Yeah.
To me, it's interesting. I feel the emotions. For instance, I don't want to spoil anything. The one you were talking about as the Germans, it was like, you were like, oh, we're gonna start gunning them down and bombing them out, and they're dug in and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, I was trying to counterattack.
And then on my side, I was talking about, oh, you got snipers now, and we're going to watch how good she is because she supposedly killed 39 fascists, they said, which I thought was funny, which they would have said. I mean, they're communist, fascist. Anyway, and then at the end, they're like, they heard a whining noise, and they looked up into the bleak gray sky, and there were dive bombers.
And then it's like, mission setup, you get 2 Stukas.
Yeah,
Ooh.
So cool. But that's a very good part of the game.
Yeah,
I think
neat.
in the other ones, they had like a little scenario introduction, but it was by no means
it's not like this, no.
So I really like that. The art by Roland McDonald, I mean, you can't beat it.
Every time.
It's amazing.
It's excellent.
Beautiful, evocative, and then just the tight, interesting way you go about doing this game. I'm a little worried that some of my squads are so decimated 3 scenarios in that I'm not sure I'm going to be that effective.
That's what I'm
in the remaining
most
12.
interested to see over the course of the campaign. Is
Yeah.
How badly does attrition really like screw you over?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to just limp along for the next few scenarios and like hope that something better happens?
Sure.
But like, once you get to that reserve dead level, you can't ever get out of it.
No.
So it's like, Is everyone just going to suck at the end?
And why that is so important. So, for instance, every unit in the squad plays a specific purpose. The scout goes out and he opens up terrain tiles so you can move on your objectives, right? Your riflemen go out and they can control objectives. Without those two things, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So a couple of my riflemen, I have one that can't move.
Oh.
Right? Yep. She is so demoralized that her move box has been crossed through.
I don't think I have one of those.
I have one rifleman who can't shoot other than in his own terrain tile. He has a shovel.
Yep.
You have one that has a pistol, I think.
Same
or I
thing.
have a pistol, you have a shovel. I have a rifleman who cannot control.
I think I've got one of those.
So his control ability has been...
Yeah.
So I will
you're like,
never be
ooh.
able to utilize him
I get
to
my
control.
rifleman, and you're like, oh, I can't control the objective, which would win me the game.
That's a big part of what that card is. It's a big part of why you put that card in your deck. It's a big part of how you do what you got to do. I'm a little worried about that. And that's cool, though. That's
because that guy, it was like some bad stuff happened to him, and now he's too cowardly to go and make that final push, and he needs someone else to do it from his squad.
It tells a very
It's
interesting
really
narrative. And the other thing about that is you kind of decide what guys you lose, right? When you get shot, there's a priority. It's hand first, discard pile, and then your deck that is hidden. So, you know what? Oh, I got that crappy guy in my hand. He's dead. I'm okay with that. But you've only got 5 or 6 riflemen. You don't have a lot of choices. So I'm very interested to see how that attrition...
Yeah. I'm curious to see.
Yeah. And I believe I have fought tooth and nail to try to win every scenario, and now I'm worried. Because I have one...
Yeah, I
the
haven't
3
won
we
one in the
played,
campaign
which
yet.
is hilarious. You won the first one that we were practicing, which I thought was pretty tricky of me to...
Yeah.
But I said it before...
That's a practice
No.
one.
We decided before. We were like, we just need to get the basics down again.
He watched me win it, and he was like, oh, this is how I defend it now.
That is not the way it happened. You're a liar. You're a German. That's just what you do. So I'm worried now because I got 12 scenarios that I got to somehow get through.
Yeah.
Are you going to go 12-0 because my guys are so beat up?
I don't know.
It's interesting.
That's the beauty of the game. Is I want to see it.
I want to see how that's going to
Makes
play
me
out.
wanna play
Absolutely.
it. You've got snipers now. You're like, "Oh, let's get to the next scenario so I can use them more.
Well, I've seen KV-1s in there. There's
T-34s. There's
T-34s.
engineers.
Yep.
There's all sorts of things.
What kind of tanks do you have? I assume you
I've
have...
probably got Panzer IVs, probably a Panzer III, maybe a Stug.
I thought you had a Stug. I want to swear one of them.
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Can't wait till
too
those get
hard.
out. I can't wait.
I've got Romanians. You know, they're going to suck.
I've got...
No offense.
What are my guys called? They are called partisans.
Partisans,
So I've got some weak little partisans, but cool. So interesting, so exciting, and I'm just looking forward to the next 12 to so scenarios. Yeah. Oh, you're looking at them now. I don't want to... Spoilers ahead, right?
Okay, I was just seeing. That's very interesting. And it's very interesting, the very different counter mixes that we have as well.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of asymmetry in this. And
Yes.
I think in Normandy, it was very the same. I had gunners, you had riflemen, I have riflemen, scout, blah, 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 right? In North Africa, it became a little different.
Yes, that was much more asymmetrical in North Africa.
And now I feel like it's even more so.
Well, this one
which I'm
was
cool
interesting
with.
because scenario 1 is much more symmetrical.
Yes.
But it diverges very quickly.
Very quickly.
As your forces degrade, but also as new things are introduced into missions, it's not an equal par.
So I believe my comparable unit to your Stukas, I think I have artillery or something.
Yeah, I think
But
I don't know
I
if I've
haven't
seen
looked
any of
through
those.
everything. You're not supposed to look in those. And I've stopped myself from looking,
Yes.
even though I want to very badly. I've had a great time playing this.
Yeah.
I thank you for continuing to play with me.
This will always I'm never like, oh no, like I want to play this too. I love this game.
We just have other games we have to play. Plus, we have other games that we want to play as well.
Yeah.
Not that we ever play games we don't want to play. I don't feel like that.
It's probably not true.
The ones that we really don't want to play, we just don't. We don't accept.
There's ones that I'm more
We're like,
excited to play, right?
Yeah.
This is one of them. I love this game.
I love it. I've had a good time with this. I can't wait to play again.
Undaunted Stalingrad from Osprey Games. Please check it out if you're interested. There will be more of this coming once we complete this campaign and kind of see everything.
And you don't have to have experience with the system.
No.
This is a standalone.
Yes.
Got all the rules. I think it helps too because you're going to understand it better, but You can start with this. Don't feel like you
Yeah.
can't start with this.
Yeah, it's not more complicated. Than the
No,
other
it is
ones.
not.
And
Other than you're replacing units and you're...
but it guides you through step
does.
by
It's
step
right here.
when you get to that, and it doesn't teach you it beforehand.
I wish they had some player aids.
I agree with that.
This rule book is extremely unwieldy
Yeah.
because it's huge. And what does guide do? I have to keep looking it up. Give me
Yeah.
a dang player aid.
And they do that because they're like, here's all these like campaign and legacy actions that you unlock
They're trying
and
to
gain
hide
access
them.
to.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, just give me a play aid.
Yeah, right.
Unlock envelope 1 at the end of scenario 1
Sure.
and give me a play aid if you're trying to keep it that secret.
I don't know, but it really fun, really great. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Check it out if you're interested, but appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from playersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.